So as I explained last week, we're trying something kind of new and different this month. So instead of listening to me preach, I get to interview some members of the congregation, and our first interviewee is Mark Ohnemus. So Mark, would you care to come up? Take the hot seat. I'll ask the questions you don't want me to ask. No, it's... you this mic, and I have not drunk out of that water, so if you need it, you're all good. So can we just start, can you introduce, I think everyone knows you, but can you take just a second and introduce yourself? Who are you?
My name is Mark Ohnemus, lifetime member, or lifetime resident in DeWitt, longtime member here at First Congregational, married to Brent Ohnemus, 3 sons, Matthew, Tyler, and Jeff. 2 lovely daughters-in-law, Heather and Charlie, and 7 grandkids floating around. And I've had the opportunity to serve on various boards and roles in the church.
So you are a longtime member of First Congregational, but you grew up Catholic.
I grew up in a Catholic tradition.
And
yes.
Since you grew up in DeWitt, you grew up going to St. Joe's.
I did.
What was that like? What was church like for you in St. Joe's as a kid?
It was a very central part of our life. I was raised in a Catholic family. My father actually went to a Catholic academy for a high school, so his teachers were literally monks in brown robes, was who he got his instruction from. And so he carried that along, and so Sunday morning was, you got up, you had breakfast, you went to church, you went to Mass, participated, and it was a very central part of our life.
Yeah? So you participated in all of the Catholic Church for Kids has a lot of bits and pieces to it as you grow up. So you did First Communion.
Did the whole thing. Did First Communion. First of all, came in and there were no prayer grounds in the Catholic Church. You were to sit and be very, very quiet. The best you could hope for, as I was sharing a memory, is on a bulletin you could play tic-tac-toe with your brother, if you could do that quietly. If he wore corduroy pants, you could do it on his pant leg. It was great. And so, yes, did, of course, the full gamut. Did First Communion, did Confirmation. Both of those were very formal affairs. I mean, it was, you had to prepare yourself to respond to questions. There was a celebration party afterwards, and all of these types of things. Confirmation was almost somewhat frightening because the bishop came for confirmation. And so you had to be ready to answer the bishop's questions.
Did the bishop ask harder questions than the priest?
No, you were not so much harder, but it was just a little more pressure.
Right.
Just a little bit more pressure. And so did all of those. Did service as an altar boy, and which is basically an assistant. You assist with the service. You help to hand things to Father and do those types of things. Served as a CCD instructor. So pretty much went through all the roles.
Wow, okay. Did you like going to church as a kid? Was that something that you looked forward to during the week, or was that something you tried to avoid on Sunday morning, or somewhere in between?
Somewhere in between. To be perfectly honest, like every other kid in the world probably, I can't say that I was enamored of, oh my gosh, I can't wait to go to church this morning. And if I thought I could pull it off, I would have stayed home and watched cartoons or something otherwise. But there is something to a structure and a regularity, and having that kind of structure in your life and knowing what's going on, that even if you don't realize it, I think you do kind of look forward to.
Okay, yeah. Was there anything in particular, I know the tic-tac-toe on the bulletin, but was there anything on kind of any part of that you looked forward to, that you were like, this, I'm really interested in this and want to be a part of it?
Probably when they would get to the readings and to the gospel. Okay. And so then I was able later in life to go on to be a lector and do some of those things.
Yeah. So since you mentioned that, you picked the reading for today,
yes.
And it's a very kid-centric reading. Is there a reason that you picked that?
I just think it reflects a little bit of not only the joy of children, but how that exemplifies how you should come to God with that kind of just pure faith. Kids do a lot of things on just faith, which is saying, I don't have to see it to believe it. I can believe it. And I think that's kind of how we have to approach. I take that back. I think that's how I need to approach, the religion and the Lord in my life.
Yeah, there is something there of kids. Kids are so trusting, right? And we are called to be. I mean, what faith really is trust, and that doesn't necessarily mean believing without seeing, or not having examples, or not like there's a reason we can trust God, but being able to kind of have that, I'm going to go into this kind of wholeheartedly, and we're going to see how this goes, and have that hopefully be rewarded. And
that's, I think we've spoken this. I heard a quote one time that I like that says, "Faith is hope with certainty." You're hoping, but I'm awful sure it's going to happen anyway.
Yeah, that's a really good hope with certainty. That's really good. So, you obviously you don't go to the Catholic Church so much anymore. Maybe you secretly do, Saturday nights or Wednesdays or something. So did you, I guess I'll start here, did you kind of drop away after a while? I know a lot of people when they go off to college, or when you're not living at home and your parents aren't making you go anymore, a lot of people kind of drop away. Did you drop away, or was it a more purposeful kind of...
I mean, as with a lot of young folks, I'm sure for a while I, was not as religious, or funny word, regular as I should have been. But no, ours was very conscious. When Brenda and I were married, we both had very strong ties to our faith. And in order to go make it through this, we both at the time agreed that we would have both Pastor Trost, her pastor, and Father Ken, my priest. So we actually had two officiants at our wedding, and they were both wonderful to say, yeah, we will share this. Because it was a hard decision, and we weren't really at a point to say we have to do that yet. So frequently, I would worship at St. Joe's on Sundays. Brenda would come here. Sometimes we would share. When it came time for Matthew to be baptized, we decided that someone has to make a decision here. And my great fear was, as I said, we grew up in a very strong Catholic tradition. My concern was hurting my dad, that he would feel some way about that. And so finally came up somehow with the courage to talk to him about it, and was amazed when what he said is great. He said, you know what, as long as you have that part of your life, it doesn't matter where. He said, maybe you and Brenda should both think about neither one of you going to your home churches, and just you build your own. If that's what you need to do, then you do that. And so at that point is when I came over and joined First Congregational.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you came over here instead of finding your own. I have some friends from college who, so the wife grew up Catholic and very Catholic, and the husband grew up Presbyterian and quite Presbyterian. And when they got married and they had kids, and they're like, we need to pick a church, they went Lutheran. They figured that is halfway in between, so we can get the best of both. But I'm glad that you came here. What, other than the fact that Brenda dragged you here, what do you like about First Congregational? What keeps you coming back week after week?
Probably one of the things that gave me the most trouble, actually, initially, and that is the fact that the church and the true drivers of the church are the congregation. The first time I was here and they talked about having a pastor call, and we're going to call pastor and we're going to interview different guys. And I was like, well, no, somebody just sends you a priest and says, this is your dude. Like it or not, this is your guy. And that was strange to me. And sometimes the very congregational way that decisions are made was a struggle for me at first, because I wasn't used to having to do that. I was used to, just show up in the seat and be there. But once you get used to it and actually becoming a little more engaged in it, that's the part that draws you back, the part that you're truly more a part of it. I take it back. It's a different feeling for how you're a part of it.
Yeah. Are there things that you miss about Catholicism? Are there things that you wish we did that were more Catholic, or?
Probably just like others, you say there are things that you miss from your younger years. Yeah, I mean, quite bluntly, Mass has a little bit more, how should I say it, not pageantry, but more very specific structure. I can go back now after many, many, many years, and pretty much still make it through the service. They've changed a few here and there, just enough to clear it up. But yeah, I do sometimes miss that. I sometimes miss what was at the time called High Mass, which was a very celebratory, and a big event. So yeah, there's still are times you miss that.
Yeah. What would can you imagine us doing something like, because I know since I came, it used to be more formal, and we've gradually drifted away from the formality. Yeah. But we could bring that back sometimes. What do you think what would that look like if we were to kind of bring high church into this?
That's a very good question.
This kind of space.
Just that, probably more for, the only time I would see that would be possibly for certain of the special holidays. You would have potentially 2 services, one which would be a more loose service, and which is a much more structured. And I'm not sure how that would deal in, but just that maybe a little bit, as I said, a little bit more pageantry, a little bit more going on. That's a good question. I'd have to think about that.
We need to get one of those censer things. So we can bring in the incense.
Incense, yes. Here, clean.
Carry across town. So what's sorry, I got off track with that question in my head. No. So you keep you've been part of First Congregational for do you remember for how long? Do you want to reveal that?
When did we officially join? Over 40. Over 40. 42, 43?
Over 40.
Yeah.
Wow. So in all of that time, what's your favorite memory of First Congregational?
Oh my gosh.
Or a favorite memory? You don't have to
too many to name. Obviously, anything involving the boys. So baptisms and first communion, not such communion, but baptisms, confirmation, things of that nature. The collaborativeship, the friendship here. Probably one of the fondest memories was not a fond memory at the time, and that was building this church. And we were insulating it, and it was winter, and it was cold. And somehow we found an ability to still fix a meal in what wasn't yet we brought it in, it wasn't quite finished yet. And the people working with that, and it was across the entire swath of the church. And it was a great thing to share.
Yeah. And there are a lot of people kind of built into this building.
Yes.
Right? Like there's so and so did that, and so made painting the doors or doing the electric or installing this. And I can imagine as you walk through, you can, if you wanted to, you could see those fingerprints of
Absolutely.
There's Bim, there's Dick, and kind of get that sense. Which is an amazing thing to have, and probably something that we should, sometime I should sit down with you and some of the other folks who were involved in the building of this building and get all of those stories so that we can know this window is because of so-and-so.
Yeah, absolutely.
And this light switch is so-and-so's fault. Like it's
No, but it is. When you look at these windows, you go, my gosh, Carol Beck.
Yeah.
Designed all of these and then worked with the stained glass artist to construct these.
Yeah.
And just all those things like that. Moving the window from the old church and getting the window here was a huge deal. And when that was moved in, all of a sudden it's like, that's our church now.
Oh. Do you have anything from your time here where you think back and go, oh, that was such a disaster?
Anytime Matthew went to children's time. And his mother would say her favorite words to him, now you don't have to talk. But no, really, other than that, no. I can't say there are times here when there are bad memories. Like any place else where people are together, there were some times we went through rough patches. But for the most part, it's amazing how well we came through them.
Yeah. Well, you're bringing up Matt and children's time reminds me of when we were talking about kids and the way that kids approach faith. I know, I hear the stories about Matt coming up and the worry, and then I hear the stories about Brooks coming up and Matt getting exactly what he deserved and having that same concern. But there is something really beautiful about the way that kids approach faith, in that you can have questions or wild ideas or just a thought that sparks from something, and that to share. And that's something that I think, thinking about a child's approach to faith, there's that trust, but there's also just that willingness to just ask questions and be pestery about it, and kind of absorb and learn. And that's something that we see with kids. Is that something that you still do? I mean, do you still learn? What do you pick up? Or what questions do you have? Or how do you approach with that kind of spirit of openness?
You still, every day, as you go through your faith, you realize that you're living in it. But as you go through your life situation changes, and where you're at in your life changes. And what you see as the next milestones in your life change. And as you near 70 years, you realize, man, have I prioritized the right things? Have I done the right things? And all of a sudden, this goes from being conceptual to the real thing. What is out there for me, and how am I all tied to all of this? And so, yeah, you still do go into that with that hopeful sense of wonder, and still wonder and question.
Yeah. Do you feel like you have prioritized the right things over
I hope so.
More often than you have not?
Yeah, you know what? I think I can say I have hopefully made that attempt. Whether I've done it well or not, but I think with guidance of wonderful people around me, I've made that attempt.
Yeah. I think we all have those feelings of, if I could go back and tell my 20-year-old self to please ignore that, focus over here. Life will make much more sense when you. Yeah. So what are you prioritizing now? You're retired. You have all of this copious amounts of free time.
Hopefully, time with family. Hopefully, time to contribute back to things going on, and also hopefully, there's a time to just have fun.
Yeah.
There's a time to just have fun.
Excellent.
So hopefully more of that.
Hopefully, yeah. Just a couple more questions for you. I did want to ask, so each of our interviewees is picking the scripture and one or two songs. And Mark picked the song that we will have after the sermon, so Morning Has Broken. What made you pick that hymn?
It is it's just one that reaches out to me, and it's a neat message of, you know what, it's going to be okay. The best times are coming, and my mom had one that I always liked, and that is, it'll all work out in the end. And if it hasn't worked out yet, it's probably not the end. Mm. And so morning will break, have faith. Have faith.
Yeah. Just keep going forward with that hope and that certainty that,
absolutely,
that we will get to a resolution to our story that is good and makes sense. And yeah, that's a really good way to look at things, and a good reason to pick a song. So that's good. And then finally, if you could pick one thing, just one thing to say, we as a congregation are going to do this thing or be this thing, what would that be? And that can change from day to day, obviously, but right now.
Oh my. I would say, as a congregation, and myself included, and probably this could be a message just for me and not the congregation, is don't be afraid to share who you are and what you are. Mm-hmm. And don't be afraid to go out and say what you believe and invite other people to have that discussion. You don't have to tell them, hey, come on, I want you to believe what I believe, but say, I would really like to talk to you about what you believe and share what I believe. Because I think we got a lot of good stuff. We do wonderful things. And I'm fortunate beyond words to be able to be part of that, but we don't necessarily take it well in the community outside of us. Mm-hmm.
No, that makes sense. Yeah, and I think that's true, that we get a little nervous about sharing, maybe because we don't have that kind of confidence and that faith and that hope and that, maybe this might be hard or this might not go well, but it's not the end until until it has turned around. And so we are free to share and take those risks because it will, at some point, become what it's supposed to become.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. That's really good. Well, thank you so much. Thank you for being up here. Thank you for being my first guinea pig. I appreciate it. I hope that wasn't too painful.
Not at all. Thank you.
Okay, can we have a round of applause for Mark?